Hey everybody, it is Tyler and Mark here for the Buffalo Community Podcast. We have a kind of a very interesting episode today, and you're all seeing it, and you're going to see it in a couple of different formats. You are going to see us interview the three mayor candidates for the city of Buffalo, which include Eric Anderson, Teri Lachermeier, and Susan Matson. And we're doing these interviews separately and actually on different days. But they have a list of questions that you guys helped us come up with, and a couple that we came up with for them as well. But let's get started with our introduction, and then we'll kind of go what to expect.
This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reese and Mark Benzer.
Mark, welcome back.
Yeah.
That's right next to each other on here. This
Yeah, I
kinda
know. I'm not
brings
used
us-
to being this close to you.
Brings us back to December of 2019.
Right.
So when we first began this podcast, we said no politics. We were approached and I thought, well, this could be a good idea because local politics is nonpartisan.
Yep.
Absolutely nonpartisan. Nobody's running as a Republican or a Democrat or independent. It's nonpartisan. So don't worry. We don't get to any of that crap that, well, one, I think we're all going to have enough of it in the 2020 election.
Yep.
That being said, we want to give everybody a fair shake, and which means these candidates came in and we're going to give the interview with them individually and let them post that as well. But we're going to comprise this interview with us and all three of the candidates, but we're going to put them in a random order here. So I've got my special tool right here.
And randomizer.
Randomizer. So this is going to determine who we're going to hear from first, second, and then third. So doing random sections right here. So very first up, we're actually going to have Eric Anderson. And then let's see, we're going to make sure, well, I should have paid for the premium version.
You got an ad coming?
Yeah, Wheel of Fortune.
Buy it.
Oh, man.
You should buy it.
Buy it. Oh, that's not bad.
We'll be back after this.
Yeah. All right. Next up, to determine our second and third position between Teri and Sue is going to be Susan Matson. And then to last but not least is Teri Lachermeier. So that's going to determine our order of who you are going to hear from. I hope that you guys can stick around for the entire thing because this is all about Buffalo, the people in it, and how it all works together. So that being said, should we just jump right into it?
Let's do it.
I kind of totally overtook this introduction.
I love it.
All right,
I think it's
perfect.
great.
All right, let's get in with our first interview right now. All right, next up we have the current mayor and mayoral candidate, Teri Lachermeier. Let's just jump right into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of history, what you do, and why you're running for mayor.
Absolutely. Again, Teri Lachermeier. I've lived in Buffalo for over 40 years. Really, Montrose, 15 years old, moved to Buffalo. Go to Montrose Elementary School, then go to the Buffalo Middle School. And I'm taken from 19 kids to about 260 kids. I wanted for people to know who I was right away, so I ran for student council. Student council led to college, going to student senate. Student senate led to wanting to do a little bit more and got into the real political world. And student senate we go to the White House, we visit people, we lobby on behalf of the students and tuition. So I got in deep right away, right? And then you meet that man you're gonna be with for the rest of your life, and we moved to Buffalo during college. So I've been in Buffalo for that whole time, and I very early on decided I wanted to be part of the city as a community, being a very, I think, civic-minded. And I wanted people to understand what that was about. So when I first got involved, I wanted young kids to understand how they could give back, pay it forward. And being on council, you have the ear of a few people because you get to be on committees like Safe Schools, so you work with the school districts. You work with the county. And that collaborative thing is what I was really interested in, making sure that it wasn't just Buffalo we were thinking of, but the bigger picture. So city council, 16 years. And then you get to that point where you decide, am I ready? Am I ready to run for mayor? I mean, and someone would say, you should run for mayor. People say that to you, right? They say that to you guys. And I did it, and I knew I was ready. And for the last 4 years, I've really concentrated on teaching the young people through very simple ways, like going to Love to Read Month at the 3rd grade level and write a little color book that explains how the city operates. Get families involved, like do the roam with our buffaloes, kind of give some recognition to the city. And then when those young kids want to invite other people and they want activities, give them some activities, like going to search out the buffaloes. And I had my son, who was going to the U of M at the time, a writer, write a story about the buffaloes. And that got those kids like wanting to, in the summertime, go and do the roam. So it's just been one thing after another that led to really being in a position where you can help make a difference from the levels within the city. And I don't have to do that big stuff. I want to do what's good for our community.
Sure.
One other thing that I did during this is the teachers at the high school asked if I'd come in and teach a local government class to the 9th graders. I'm like, super, I can do 3rd grade here, do the color book, and then go and teach local government and help those 9th graders understand how a city works. Mm-hmm. And as they grow up, hopefully they'll be interested in being involved at other levels. So really, it's just been very organic. And it started way back here, and I've been so supported by my husband, my children, my parents, my siblings, the people of Buffalo. So it's, like I said, it's been something that you dream of, and you can make a very big impact at a local level.
Cool.
I'd like to transition into the next question.
Sure.
And we went to social media for asking, hey, what do you guys want to hear from these candidates? And a lot of them kind of had some questions that were answered between each other that maybe aren't familiar exactly what a mayor does.
Sure.
Can you describe that role? Is it a weak mayor? Is it a strong mayor system? What is that? We talked a little bit about that before we pushed record, but could you elaborate on that? What a mayor does and what type of system we have in Buffalo?
Just to give that kind of that elementary 101 level of weak and strong. Strong mayors are elected by the public, and they basically make appointments within the council. They'll make board appointments. They'll appoint, your safety position, your fire department, your chief of fire department. They'll do those appointments. So I would consider at this point I'm a strong mayor. But of course we've got a 5-person council with my vote included. If there's a 2 votes either way, I would be a deciding vote. And a weak mayor is someone who is appointed by the council. So there's a big difference. So strong mayor.
Okay. Well, thank you. That answers a lot of it, and I hope a little bit more is understood by our followers, viewers, I should say, followers.
And you have a lot of them. I'm one of them.
Yeah. So maybe you touched on it already, but why are you a good choice for mayor?
I'm a people person. Even in this pandemic, we had the discussion earlier about unfortunately, I'm a hugger. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately for this time. I adore people. I love working with them, for them. Service is it's in my blood. I swear purple is, I always think of the school times as being the Buffalo mascot and really being the cheerleader for the team. Well, I'm a cheerleader for Buffalo. I'm the person who will listen to someone at 2:30 in the morning when their electricity goes off and wants to find out how we can get that taken care of. I'm that person who, if there's a concern about a water issue in your home, I'm going to show up and I'm going to see the water. I'm going to bring in the staff and we're going to talk about it on every level. I'm the person who wants the kids to understand how a city works. I'm the one who wants people to be intrigued with wanting to know more and be involved in the community. That's why when I first started, I publicized everything in the local paper and put everything on social media that we were doing within the city, because I wanted to make sure people, if maybe they weren't at a meeting, they would maybe hear about it organically through social media or the paper, and there would be no surprises. I did find out through social media that I think people maybe weren't listening as closely as I thought they were, because I think that's something that's coming up. One of our issues is we need to engage more people in involvement in knowing what's going on with our city, because it's their city. They need to help us make decisions and structure the way they want it to look. So I think getting people involved is going to be the thing that I'm going to strive for if given that opportunity.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump right to it. what are some ideas on how to create that communication line or creating transparency between city council, mayor's office, and the public?
Absolutely. Good question. Number one, I would recommend people, tune into our channel 180 or look at our live stream that are taped, our council meeting minutes. Attend board meetings. They're open to the public. Watch the paper because we work very closely with the paper, letting them know what's happening. Ask questions. Make sure that you know a council member or reach out to me. My number is publicized in the paper. It's on social media. It's on our website. I am very accessible, I would say. And now I'm working from home in Buffalo again, so I'm able to be there for people who want to meet up for coffee. I've done that. I used to do it a lot more. Of course, now it's more maybe a Zoom meeting or a phone call, which is fine with me. Social media, I am using a lot more of that to get the word out. I have a site. And I also ask our staff, and they're so good about it, when we discuss something, we need to put it right on our website. It needs to be out there, and it needs to be dated and tell people what we see coming. Can we talk about the things behind the scene? Probably not, because when decisions are being made, like property being bought because let's say a big box or someone's coming into town, like a restaurant or a grocery store, you've got to keep that in real estate terms. You don't want to drive that price up because people are now knowing what's coming, that type of thing. So they keep a few secrets from me so that I don't open my mouth and tell everybody what's coming to Buffalo, because you know how excited I am about it. So things like that you have to kind of keep on the low key until you know something is going to happen. You don't want to promise things that don't happen. So there's a lot of different avenues, but I would highly recommend people get involved, get on a board, apply for a board. Whether it be any type of interest you have in the city, pick something that you're interested in, but definitely know your council members and definitely know who your mayor is.
Yep. Okay. You want to jump to number 4?
Sure. What would you say is the best thing that Buffalo has going for it right now?
Our downtown. I think we have a heart that pumps amazing energy. I drove by yesterday, and the little kids on the splash pad, there was probably 15 people kind of spread out around that area, and one little kid sitting right in the middle of the fountain, and people are driving by, and there's activity, and there's people walking, and just the freshness of the downtown, the value that it brings to our communities and our young families. And as that happens, obviously you guys know the businesses that have come in the last 5 years, literally 5 years. Evelyn's Wine Bar, Pugs, Hayes Public House. We've had Abundant Kitchen. We've got businesses that have kind of moved, but they're flourishing. We have new ones coming. Today's the day, but Jay's restaurant was sold, and we have new people coming to enjoy that new space, and it will be fresh for us in the next couple months for maybe some facelifts. But not that I haven't enjoyed Jay's restaurant as it is, and Jay's Down Under, 2 of my favorite places.
Right.
Truly. We've got other retail places that have really got brought to life, and I want to give credit to those occasionals, you guys. 10 years ago, we were talking about what do we want our downtown to look at, and some people said, oh, I wish it was more than occasionals. If we wouldn't have had those occasionals back when that started, our downtown would not be as vibrant as it is now. So they sustained us through a very difficult time in our city or in our times, because we had the downfall of the home market, as you might know very well. That was terrible for us because we kind of built our projections of our tax base, everything on that, and that has caused us to have to raise taxes over the last couple of years, and now it's coming back. So we have to be cognizant of that. Growth might be part of the plan because to keep taxes where people can afford to live here.
So, again, we're going to kind of jump around a little bit here because you're talking about taxes.
Yeah.
Keeping them low. The uptick you said we were planning on because of the growth that was happening in the early to mid 2000s. Obviously, that stopped in the Great Recession.
2008, yeah.
And how are we going to keep taxes low, or maybe lower them? Actually, I've never heard of a tax going lower. But,
right. Sustain.
Yeah.
Sustain.
How do we do that?
That's a really good question, and there's a lot of different ways to do that. I've always spoke of growing commercially, residentially, and retail. You have to grow in a way that your tax base kind of helps level out the way that we tax people, because and people will question some of the reasoning behind decisions that were made about buildings in the downtown. But for years we have been helping people come to here, developers, so that we can give some quality of life to all aspects of Buffalo. So you have to work with those contractors. You have to work with those economic development people to bring them here and maybe give them a little break on taxes for a little while. But eventually, you guys, it all comes back, and it helps us sustain low taxes, and it helps us afford the services that we provide, like water and sewer, electric department, even our internet. We've got a lot of fiber going on right now, fiber to the homes we're looking at, which we're going to do in a slow, consistent basis. Those are all things that help us keep taxes down, because they're like a business within our city that helps provide to pay for the things how to maintain a city.
Sure.
Like your public safety, and obviously your staff for your public works, water, sewer, and electric department.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we jump to the electrical question?
Absolutely.
As you know, active on social media, people always seem to be complaining about high electrical rates. Yep. Is that something that is the city in line with other cities at our rate that we're currently getting electricity
right.
and then charging our residents for? How does that compare to other?
Well, I want to give you a little basis. We work with MMPA. MMPA is a collaborative of a number of different cities, and we buy electricity together, okay? And we're in the process, the city's in the process of getting territories, right? Hennepin being the biggest one that we work with. And just recently, my territory was purchased where I live. The Walmart, that whole down past the Covenant Church, all that was Right Hennepin, and we just purchased it from Right Hennepin. Well, I will tell you, last year at this time, I took my bill out. I paid $250 for my electric last year, this month. It was $197 with the city of Buffalo this month. And my air conditioner has been running consistently.
Sure.
Now, is that answer for everybody's question? No. But I wanted to compare for myself. I have the proof. Is it high? I would only know what I'm pulling from. If someone feels that way, we do compare to other cities, and we are within that normal range. We aren't here and we aren't here, but we're right here, and that's where we like to be. You don't want to undercharge, because if you undercharge, obviously then someday we have to have these increases. So we want to keep it consistent, and we want to give quality services, and we love working with MMPA. I go to their annual meetings, and it's wonderful to be a part of that, to know the background of how all these cities work together to make sure that we're all getting what we need, and we're getting it at affordable rates because we're collaborating with other cities. So there's so much behind the scenes that I wish that more people would know about. It's hard to tell everybody everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not an expert. I will never tell you that I'm an expert, but we do have staff that are experts, and if people have concerns, I highly recommend you call our staff. They can help. They'll either look at it, see if there's some problem somewhere. They'll analyze your bill. They'll give you a good, I hope, a good answer that will help alleviate some of the I would say pain financially.
Yep.
We'll kind of go back a little bit to, we talked about the best things that Buffalo has going for it. Let's go to the flip side of that coin, and what areas do you see that need the most improvement with Buffalo, and any fixes or ideas that you would have for that?
Well, I think there's two that I would probably want to address, and that's really, I think that a lot of people talk about transparency. I think people need to ask the questions and get a decent answer. But they got to know who to ask. And I think come to the city. We have staff that will help alleviate, like I said, some of the stresses that people go through on what they think is going on. Come to us. Don't feel like you're asking a dumb question. There's no dumb questions. If you have a question, it deserves to be answered. I really think that now that we've created some really good growth, I think, too, we should be truly thinking about a community center. I think we've had a group together. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but for the last 4 years, we've had this wonderful, compassionate group of people that got together, and they want to get kind of the pulse of the city to find out whether we have a need or a want for a community center. We definitely have the population to sustain it, but we need to know what the public thinks. So at some point, we're definitely going to have to put it to referendum. We're going to have to ask the people if that's what they're interested in. I'd love to see us have one, but again, we're talking taxes. You gotta talk through. And one of the other things that we're dealing with is we're trying to look at the different entities that are within the city to make sure we're being responsible financially, whether we have or don't have those things. So these are big questions that need to be addressed, and we're addressing them right now, but I can only tell you that those are things that we're working on. They're going to take some time. You can't just make those decisions overnight, and you need experts to help you make them. So 2 things are getting the word out, letting people know they can ask questions, and the second thing, I'd like to see us look into that community center in depth.
Sure. I like the way you're answering questions because it makes transitional questions very,
Good.
very easy.
Good. That's
Next one is probably with that growth mindset. What do you envision for the downtown in 10 years?
That's a really good question because my envision is probably grander than most people want to think. I truly believe we have a lake that is being underutilized. I believe that we should probably have some kind of a harbor or a docking right there in the downtown, and that eventually there is a restaurant overlooking that. We definitely are going to have to look at parking situations. I do believe that downtown has the potential for amazing walkways, and probably parking would be a little off of the beaten path so that you're not taking up that beautiful view of the lake. So it'll be, I mean, I'm not trying to make us a Red Wing or a Stillwater. That's not my intent. My intent is the people that live here can really, really get that quality of life and get off their boat. Maybe they dock in Buffalo and they pull up to the dock and then they walk up to What's the Scoop, and their kids and their families or their elderly loved ones or their family from out of town can just see what we have to offer, because I really do believe we have a lot more than people really believe or think we have. I tell people drive through other towns and then come back to Buffalo and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. Whenever I'm driving through little towns, I'm looking to see, what do they have and what could we have. But we have a lot more than I think we give ourselves credit for. So the downtown to me is a walkable. It's family friendly. It's a great view of the lake and the downtown. It's little shops like it is now, but even probably more so, and maybe some more restaurants where we're going to pull people to that area. It's moving in the right direction. I definitely see that it's coming. It's here, but it's enveloping more, and it's evolving from what it has been.
Yeah.
10 years.
Perfect.
Here, now,
10 years.
and 10 years, continue.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. We'll be episode, 560?
Yeah, right.
Probably,
Not bad.
yeah.
Completely syndicated nationally.
I'm with you on that.
10 years,
Syndicated.
yeah. Well, I think that is all of our questions that we've developed, and we kind of ask all of the candidates. Is there anything that you wish we would have talked about that we haven't yet, or any message that you want to leave the city of Buffalo or residents?
Well, I probably want to talk about some of the little intricate things that that have been done over the last couple of years. And that's our color book, which I brought one for you guys, and it's for kids, and it tells about the different aspects of Buffalo. It's got a little game that shows all the departments that we have, so kids can actually learn. Our parks are in here. We have a word search with all the parks, the 27 parks that we have in the city of Buffalo. We have the map that kids can go out and explore, and I have the little color crayons with it. But that was created by Bolton & Mink. They're our engineering firm that works for the city, contracted, but they make that for us free. This was something that I don't think other cities do, and I think we do this, and I appreciate that Bolton & Mink was willing to do the work for us, and we can hand this out to kids. We have the most adorable word shop here in Buffalo with our seniors. There's 21 volunteers that meet every Tuesday and Thursday down by Sturgis Park. It's a little building that I would love to move them into a larger site, because I think more seniors would have a quality of life that they could spend time together.
What building is this in?
It's right behind our skate park. It's
Oh, okay,
basically
yeah.
a
Yep.
you could probably fit 4 cars in there.
Okay.
It's not
Sure.
big enough for them, but we've got volunteers, and it's basically a part of our community center, and it's a healthy place for seniors to spend time together and have coffee breaks and make toys that go all over the world. By the way, they're like over 60,000 toys have been. We have more than that, but this is Little Buffalo. I had to make, and I bring these to the new businesses in downtown or in Buffalo, and then of course do the roam. I guess what I want to say is Buffalo is for all ages. We definitely need to make sure that we're appreciating all ages. I know there's been some concerns about young people and what they can do in our city, and I believe that we have some things for them, and we will have some more things in the future. But we got to work together on this. We got to get people involved. We got to get people coming to the table saying, this is what we need, this is what we're interested in. We're willing to put in the time and dedication and possibly the finances to make it happen. So we aren't just a council that makes decisions. We're part of the greater good, and that's the people who live here. So I ask for your vote on November 3rd because I know that I can do the job. I know I have the experience, and I definitely have the people skills. I love this community, and I would never in my wildest dreams do anything to hurt it. And that's how I'd end it.
Thank you so
Perfect.
much for coming into the BCP studios. And let's go to our next segment.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hopefully you found the conversations first and foremost informative.
Yep.
Kind of a different format than what we've established in the past, with a little more banter, a little more free form conversation.
I was going to say flair. I thought you were going to say flair.
Yeah, well, flair. Yep.
Yeah.
Would be another way to put it, but trying to stick to a script and let the candidates,
Speak for themselves.
Yep.
And I think we should really send an extended thank you to our viewers. One, for submitting your questions. And I know we didn't get to everybody's very specific questions. We try to generalize those questions in a forum where we have limited time, resources. We could talk forever, but sometimes camera batteries just run out.
Right.
But I think these are good questions that kind of encompassed everything that you guys wanted to ask. But there's one surprise. I am surprised nobody said the best thing going for Buffalo was the Buffalo Community Podcast.
Yeah,
So
right.
maybe, but we weren't the place that needed most improvement.
Right. So
But we always want more improvement. So thank you for following us. All the contact information for each candidate is going to be posted on this and all of their websites, obviously, too. But if you can, like it, share it, find us on other social media aspects, subscribe, and, well, for the Buffalo Community Podcast, I'm Tyler Reese.
I'm Mark Benzer.